So today we're going to delve a little bit into the world of no fap and celibacy, abstaining from ejaculation, abstaining from porn, abstaining, some even abstain from sex. They abstain from, they become celibate. So I'm going to talk about the possible positive effects of this versus the negative effects of this. So the possible positive effects of this are increased energy, greater thinking, able to have greater thoughts, about God, about life, about being creative, having more energy to do what you want to do, to train, to, get shit done. Some say they have a glow around them when they're, doing no fap, when they're abstaining, when they're not doing it. Some of the negative effects that I've heard about, I've read about, I've had, there's been rumors about them. Luckily for me, I didn't go long enough to have any of these negative side effects, because you do have to go for a period of not using it to actually see some of these negative side effects. Now, these negative side effects, like I say, I haven't experienced any of them myself. I'm going to go through the list here. So the list is as follows. The inability to get an erection. Okay. Now, some men have reported this. Like I say, I've heard rumors. I've heard about it. I've never experienced it myself, but I've heard rumors about it. Now, that's a problem. If you're not able to get an erection, that's a problem, right? Sure as hell would be for me. Okay, so that's one of the effects. Another one of the negative side effects is the inability to reach orgasm or to ejaculate. Right, I'll repeat that again. The inability to orgasm or reach ejaculation. Again, this would be a problem. Okay, luckily for me, didn't experience it. Okay, so another one that men have reported is over-sexualized thinking and perversion. A lot of people have reported that they can't control their urges. They are more so likely to become aroused by movies or, watching things on the TV or in public or wherever they are. They're more likely to become aroused because they are not releasing, they're abstaining from that very thing, so it makes them more susceptible to becoming aroused for no apparent reason. Even, sometimes even no apparent reason. It doesn't have to be anything in the environment. They happen to become randomly aroused because of a thought that comes up in their mind, and they have this thought, and it is a over sexualization, and it's a perversion. One thing to note here is Catholic priests. Catholic priests are perverse. They are over-sexualized. And how does that relate? Well, Catholic priests, they are abstaining from ejaculation. They're abstaining from sex. But in doing so, they do other things. I'm not going to talk about this on this channel. Okay, I don't want to be cancelled. There is also reports of monks in the monastery. They like I say, there's the Buddhist theory of don't ejaculate, abstain, retain, because you're going to lose power. But in doing so, you're actually becoming you're having this perversion, this over-sexualization, because you're not able to be comfortable with your own sexuality, your own animalistic state, because we do have that animalistic state that we have to release, right? And they try to compensate with that with the training. The training does it does, to direct your energy, to direct your attention, to direct your time, your energy, and all of that to training is something that I do promote. And I have talked about it a lot. When I used to talk about this on this channel, not this channel specifically, but I had a channel, I deleted that channel, but now I'm back talking about the things that I used to talk about. But I used to talk a lot about training and why it's crucial as a man, as because we have testosterone. Testosterone is an active compound, it's an active chemical inside the body that flows in the blood. And it's not only testosterone, but it's something about masculinity, something about manhood that makes us, we have to express ourselves in physical ways, whereas women more so express themselves in a gossipy drama sort of way. They like to play with people's emotions, they like to be emotional, whereas men are emotional also, men are feeling also. I don't want to get it twisted, it's just that men have more of a use to become more physical. Historically, men have been the physical specimen, right? Historically, of course, it's not always like that. In today's world, women are also very physical. So I don't want you to think that I'm saying women are not physical, because women are very physical. I'm just saying that as men, we have to train our body. We have to have a physicality about us. We have to have something about us. That's key as a man. I honestly, I feel that, and nobody can tell me any different, because that's what I've experienced myself. So yeah, like I say, they try and offset that. Whereas you've got the Catholic priests, they don't have that. So maybe the Catholic priests, they're more perverse. They're more over-sexualized. Like I say, there has been reports of monks doing things together in the monastery, but it's not as much as we talk about priests doing other things that, like I say, I'm not going to talk about on this channel because I don't want to get cancelled. So yeah, I feel like the No Fap, abstaining from, releasing your semen, I feel like a lot of it comes from the old time of China, where it's kind of got mixed up. Because what it comes from is a warrior kind of mindset, where you're in this warrior mindset, and you are in that warrior mindset. So your time, your energy, your attention is going to training. It's going to things of war, preparing yourself for war. You're not so much, you wouldn't have a phone, you wouldn't be ejaculating, you wouldn't be watching porn, you wouldn't be having sex with women during this time. So that's why I feel like it's kind of a mix-up. It's kind of a mixed bag. It's kind of a mix of emotions for me with No Fap, because I can see the positive effects of abstaining. And there is periods where we do abstain as men. But there is also times when we have to release, right? And we shouldn't be afraid of releasing. We shouldn't be afraid of ejaculating. We should make this a normal part of our month, week, year. Not year, because that's too long. I'm telling you, if you have any amount of normal levels of masculinity, of testosterone, of hormonal balance in your body, then you don't want to be leaving it longer, I would say, than 1 month. And in the beginning, of course, if you've been, like, I want to make this clear. If you are one of those men who has been addicted to porn, you have, you've been doing a lot of busting nuts. If you've been busting a lot of nuts, then you can go longer than a month, right? Me personally, my longest streak without ejaculating was probably about 2 years. And when I tell people this, they disbelief. They feel like, how did you do that? Well, how I did that was I was very much into meditation, very much into spirituality, very much into chanting, very much into God, very much into fasting, as you know. And I can talk about fasting. I can talk about all these things, but I have a different. There's a completely different perspective now. What I have now versus what I was thinking back then. So, yeah, it's a very different perspective. Very different. So, I'm able to talk on these things with great clarity, whereas before I was kind of dabbling in them, dabbling in all these different modalities, all these different methods of, eating and not having sex and not ejaculating and meditating and studying religions. And so I'm able to talk about these things with clarity and absolute certainty on a lot of topics. So let me know down in the comments what has been your experience with abstaining, not ejaculating, no fap, celibacy, if that's your thing. And just to end it, I feel that everyone in the world, if you're over the age of 18, you should be having some kind of sexual contact. It doesn't have to be a relationship. It doesn't have to be marriage. It doesn't have to be any of that. But you should be having some form of sexual contact, because it teaches you social skills, right? It teaches you how to be social when you're completely exposed, because you're exposed when you're having sex. Nobody has sex with their clothes on. So you're exposed. You're exposing your soul to someone else. So I feel like you should be able to have that experience, and to don't be shy, don't be anxious, and to be able to have that experience. And yeah, not always just watching porn and masturbating. I feel like everyone, like I say, over the age of 18 should be having some form of sexual contact. So thanks for listening, and I will talk to you in the next one.